Welcome back to the Hoof Podcast. We had to make a new segment for the Hoof Podcast. All my friends, all my family are like, why aren't you talking about the Bills?
Same
Even
here.
my co-host Anthony's like, why aren't we talking about the Bills?
Add me to the list.
We had to, get a little creative, find a new way to, maybe incorporate some Bills talk, right? Go that direction, Anthony and I, with our former co-host Sterling, we had 4 years talking about the Bills.
That's right.
That's how this podcast started. That's how we got our start. So we really like talking about the NFL too. Anthony was great with the picks. So we thought maybe we could, circle around that. And so we decided we're going to do both, right? Why can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the beauty of having your own show. You can do both, right? So introducing the Buffalo Morning Brew, coming to you every Tuesday and Thursday morning. Tune in for us for about 2 hours a week. We'll get you ready for the game. We'll give you our thoughts on the week prior, and we'll talk all things Bills for maybe an hour or so each episode every Tuesday and Thursday. Doesn't mean we're gonna stop the other stuff. We'll still have our pick segment.
That's right. Pick six will still be there. We'll still break it all down for you. But excited to jump back into the Bills content because that's where we're most connected, right? The people we know most, we've interacted with most, the community, that's who we are. We're Bills fans. So ultimately we still want to talk about Bills football, but still have the perspective of the entire NFL too. So we can break that down.
So we are back. So
excited.
First things first, I had a buddy come visit me. He's never been to Western New York before. Lives in Denver, flew up for a 4-day weekend. And it was great for me because when people come to visit as tourists, you get to be a tourist as well.
Take them to the places. Yeah.
Yeah. So the big thing was he's all about the chicken wings. Right? Where's the buffalo wings? I've heard these are famous. Almost put them on a pedestal. Right. I'm like, look, wings are wings. Look, the buffalo wings are better than anything in the world, in my opinion. And wings are my favorite food. But it's just the expectation is unattainable. It's like it's still just a chicken wing. You know what I mean? They act like there's the greatest thing they've ever seen in their life. But anyway, we went to Buffalo and tried a couple places out.
Nice.
But, so I don't know. It's funny. I've known you for about 4 years, 5 years maybe. But I don't think I've ever seen you eat a chicken wing in your whole life.
I eat wings. Well, that's because we lived in Denver together, right? And I was just about to say, what makes the wings in New York so great is that they're in New York, right? Because I would order wings in Denver and get these disgusting things on a plate that I'm like, this is not acceptable. So when you said the wings couldn't live up to expectation, I'm thinking the opposite. Like, man, they could be the worst wing joint in Buffalo, and it's still going to be like, wow, these are the best wings I've ever had, because everybody else has no idea, how good the wings can be, what good wings are. Now that I'm in Syracuse, man, most of the places I go, if I go to a bar or we're watching a game somewhere, I'm getting wings. I'm more of a barbecue sauce or something sweeter, tangier. I eat the hot wings. Don't get me wrong.
I can see that. Yeah,
sweet. I'm not not a fiery hot wing guy. Don't burn my mouth off. I don't think
a lot of people are fiery hot. We just like the hot flavor.
That's right. Just the traditional wing with some blue cheese. Do not put ranch on my plate.
Wings or drums?
Both. Yes, please. It's usually my answer to that. Wings or drums? Yes, please. I don't care. Give me both.
I'm drums first. Drums first in my book. If we had a draft, I'd take all the drums. But anyway, we went to Buffalo and went to Gabe's Gate. Been there before. It was recommended to me by someone who lived in Buffalo for a long time. Did not disappoint. It was phenomenal when I went there. We get in line, 45-minute wait.
Worth it.
we went somewhere else because I was like, look, the wings are great in a lot of places in Buffalo. So we ended up just walking down the road and going to Anchor Bar, where it all started.
There you go.
I don't think it disappointed. Those wings they're phenomenal. The sauce at Anchor Bar, I think, is better than anywhere else, I would say. The wing itself, little undercooked a little bit. Could have did a little
too crispy.
There.
That's the other thing too. People don't make them crispy everywhere else. In New York, what a wing is supposed to be. Some places in Denver, we used to order them double fried. Like when they come out, put them back in and make them crispy,
Yeah. We don't want your healthy deep fry oil, put the bad shit in there. So it's pretty good because we ended up going to like Niagara Falls too, which I've lived in Rochester now for years and we haven't been there, right? But really, Niagara Falls is really phenomenal. Really cool place.
We take advantage of it. You forget how beautiful it is. It's just right there, right? 7 wonders of the world, 8 wonders of the world, whatever it is.
Oh, it's pretty amazing, yeah. And then, garbage plates. I mean, the thing you do in upstate New York, at least in Western New York, is you eat a lot of bad food. And that's what we did. But my buddy could have ate wings 3 times a day. But I'm like, look, man. Once is enough.
Yes.
For me,
Did you get pizza with the wings at least? Like there's
we got pizza one day from a local place here, but it wasn't like Buffalo style or even like downstate New York style, right? But the garbage plate hit.
There you go.
And then the wings obviously hit. So I think overall successful trip.
There you go. Gotta love
it. Let's jump into the Bills, right? We talk about this all the time offline, because this is our whole life, just following Bills, right?
That's right.
So let's jump in a little bit. We got Christian Kirksey retires today, and what's the deal with Bills players retiring? I wonder if this happens to other franchises. Like we follow other franchises, but not in detail. I feel like the Bills have a lot of players that famously retire mid-season or
retire at halftime, retire
right
after you sign with the team and then retire. Yeah. This one is, sure, he came. Now let's keep in mind, he was cut by the team he was on. He signed to the Bills practice squad. Yes, he's a veteran. He's been in the league, I think it's 8 years. So he's an older veteran, not, too old, but signed to the practice squad, and maybe we don't know. It could have been any number of factors, but he left a team he was on for a number of years. Coming in, has to learn a new system, get to know the guys again, try and fit in, do all the stuff, learn the playbook, go to practice every day, knowing you're not going to get on the field right now because you're on the practice squad. And he probably, in my mind, he's thought to himself, obviously, this isn't worth it to me anymore. Like I want to be wherever else he wants to be, home with his family, doing whatever else. It just wasn't worth the investment of sticking on a practice squad. And clearly, this isn't like, I had a few friends who thought maybe, he just wants to go to another team, he's going to retire and then sign with somebody else. First of all, you can't do that in the NFL. Second of all, if you wanted that opportunity, you're on a practice squad, you can sign with somebody else, right? So there were opportunities there if that were the case. Nobody wanted him on their active roster, I'm guessing, or maybe a team did and he didn't want to go there. But most likely nobody wanted him on their active roster. And, he ultimately said, I thought this would be worth it for me, saw the writing on the wall. The middle linebacker position was a weak spot coming into the season, but I think Terrell Bernard has played extremely well. And so Christian Kirksey said, you know what, it's time for me to go. And we don't know. It could have been the Bernard situation. It could have just been what I said before, that it's become overwhelming and, it's just not worth it to him anymore. Clearly, it's not worth it to him anymore for whatever reason it may be.
Right. And I think when you're 22 or even 25, you're like, cool, new city. This is fun. It's new and exciting. You're still trying to earn it, right? Still got the drive. But, when you're 31, like Kirksey, it's like, okay, my kids are in a different city. I'm moving my wife across the country again. Like, what's Buffalo? I'm not from here. This is new to me. You probably got, some money in the bank, you got enough. So it's a much easier decision just to say, you know what, I just want to be with my family and kind of sick of moving around a lot. So who knows? Human beings, right? Sometimes money's not everything. Cause I think a lot of people would say, well, how can you turn down the money and all this stuff? But like, look, when you got enough money to last a lifetime, it's a little easier. And Kirksey's situation being 31, I think it's a lot easier for him.
Yeah. As for the Bills being, the place where people go to retire lately, I think that's just a matter of it being the NFL, the nature of the NFL, right? Guys come in, Brandon Beane isn't afraid to give older guys a chance, right? Take a flyer. You want to sign to the practice squad? Great. You want to come in and take minimal pay? It's not like he's overpaying for these guys as they came in and retired, right? Anquan Bolden or what's his name? Vontae Davis,
Vontae
right?
Davis, yep.
Yeah, right. So he's
right. Antoine
neither one of
Bowman was
them
another
were.
one, yeah.
It's not like they turned down $10 million and decided to walk away because they didn't like Buffalo, even though that might be the narrative at the time, especially with the Vontae Davis thing.
Yeah.
People thought,
Yeah.
oh, it's because he's in Buffalo. Oh, he doesn't like the locker room.
But
No,
halftime's different. Yeah,
he just couldn't cut it, right?
He just out at halftime.
That is a little strange for sure. That
Yeah.
was one to talk about, but it's not because Buffalo's such a bad place to be. We know that, right? I mean, these players love playing for Buffalo. They love playing for McDermott. It's just a matter of Beane's not afraid to take flyers on guys, and you don't lose anything. In the long run, who the hell cares that this guy retired? It's not going to affect the team. You had a chance. You could have had him on the roster. It was a good, backup to have just in case. And, now he's gone, and okay, we sign the next guy up, who has experience in the system and is older and again is an emergency. You don't want to have to play AJ Klein, but you can. So
Right.
Same. So it doesn't really matter in the long run. And I think it's just take the risk, worth the risk. Sure. Same thing with like a guy like Bolden or whatever. Sure. Worth the risk. Bring him in. Hey, we need a guy at your position. Yeah. We know you're here. You could teach somebody. We can get something out of you. You're worth whatever minimal dollar we're paying you. And then, okay, they left. No big deal.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Bill's PR's in this, but I mean, for a player to retire, this is the time, right?
Yeah.
Coming off a big win. Bernard had a play. Like, everyone's feeling comfortable with Terrell Bernard right now. Wasn't the case like 2 or 3 weeks ago before the season started. I think people would have been like, oh, that sucks. Kirksley retired. We were hoping he'd be the starter.
Right. Yeah.
So,
but Bernard's put together 2 good games, right? I mean, it's not like he's not some, all, star, going to be the biggest guy at linebacker or whatever. That's not his role. That's not who we've ever wanted him to be. But he certainly held his own out there, and he's made a few good plays, right? He's been beat. Right. Yeah, and it's ugly at times, and he's undersized, but he's playing. That's what matters. And he's holding his own, and he's doing well with the guys around him in that defense. And if he continues to do that, shoot, I'd be happy with that type of play for the rest of the year.
Right, and we'll see when they really play a challenging team. So far they've had Zach Wilson and Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, what's it going to look like with Pat Mahomes down the road? That Philadelphia team's really good on offense. I mean, that's when
Miami
we'll see the test. But
we'll see that against
Miami, right? Great point.
Quick, right? Going to target them,
yeah. So I'd be interested to see how because Bernard seems like more of a finesse player. Maybe he helps out in the pass game. So when they play Miami, it'd be something interesting to look at. Other big story, Dawson Knox is day-to-day. Looks like a back injury, did not practice on Wednesday. So really the conversation becomes, I'm sure they've done a lot of prep on 2 tight end sets. A lot of the plays are 2 tight end sets. Would you think, is it Quentin Morris going to step in? They're still going to run 2 tight end sets, or are we just looking at Kincaid and then maybe the Bills dial up some stuff from last year with single tight end?
I think it ends up being a little bit of both, right? That's the reason you keep 3 tight ends, because, you need to rotate and be able to still run the offense the way it is. And that works well for run plays. It works well for pass plays, plug and play, right? That's all you need, right? So although we would much rather have Dawson Knox in that situation, for sure, no doubt about it, the fact that he's out might mean less 12 personnel in my mind. But it's not like, oh my God, we're not going to do this the entire game anymore. No, it's been working for this offense, right? We've seen those effective plays. I thought both Knox and Kincaid have played great through the first 2 games. They get the ball on the short pass. They're able to make yardage out of it, right? And be physical. And that's what we like to see out of a tight end, right? So I'm happy with the way they've played. And I think Quentin Morris, having experience in this offense, having already built some chemistry with Allen, it's not like he's some new guy off the street here, right? He was starting in a few games for us, right? So I mean, it's okay for him to step in and make a play here or there as well. I think still now, again, you'd rather have Knox. Kincaid becomes the tight end 1, really, even though he's not going to change position.
I'd say it's packages.
Hugh Morris,
right? You're going to play Kincaid in the pass catching scenarios.
Right.
And I think Quentin Morris comes in to help out with blocking, right? Because Dawson Knox is really a pretty good blocker. Kincaid's still working on it, I'd say. So yeah, I mean, I think that works, but I do think there's a lot of plays with the 2 tight end sets that they want to run. So hopefully Dawson Knox is a go. We kind of saw this last season with Jamison Crowder. They put so much time and effort into getting him involved in the offense. And I think early in the season, that was a big strategy for the offense. But then, Crowder goes down and, all that time you spent working on those type of plays were kind of out the window. And they kind of spent all season trying to find that replacement. Was it McKenzie? Was it Cole Beasley late in the season? I mean, it was, you could tell it kind of set him back. I don't think Dawson Knox's injury is that serious. Day to day is different than out or, IR or something like that. So, but yeah, definitely something to pay attention to. Other notable players in the injury report Wednesday, Leonard Floyd, ankle, did not play. Micah Hyde, hamstring, did not play. We know a lot of times veterans just they play the safe route and just let them sit, right?
Right.
Jordan Phillips and Terrell Bernard was limited with a knee. A couple names on the Wednesday injury report for the Commanders. Deron Payne did not play. Logan Thomas had a concussion. Curtis Samuel, another big name for them, was full. He did practice. And then Brian Robinson, starting running back, did play. He practiced. So, yep, it's football season, right? Injury reports every single week.
That's right. So the big one, I think Spencer Brown being limited is, you never want your starting offensive lineman to miss time. Limited is a good sign, though. So at least he was able to do something. That indicates to me that hopefully he'll be a go by Sunday. Knox is really the big one, being out. The 2 veterans you mentioned. James Cook was also out of practice today, but he had a baby, apparently. I didn't know he was expecting, but I heard that. So don't worry about that one. He should be back and ready to go. Like you said,
no maternity leave in the NFL, I don't think.
Yeah, right. Come back. But yeah, so it's concerning somewhat, but these are the things that happen just from collisions in football, right? You're going to have injuries. People are going to be banged up, and each week it's, different people and different levels. We're lucky so far that these right now seem like reasonable injuries. Again, Knox might miss time. Any one of these guys might miss the game on Sunday, but for as far as we know right now, this isn't weeks that somebody is going to be out. None of these guys have been, are at a point where they're going to miss 3 to 4 weeks or something. You expect that at some point in the season, unfortunately, but we want to stay clear of that for as long as we can.
Right. Yeah, definitely agree. So Bills Commanders 1 p.m. on Sunday in Washington. I think I saw in the press conferences Josh Allen has not played at FedEx Field.
That's right. It's his first time. Yeah.
But yeah, let's discuss the Commanders a little bit. I mean, we know there's a little bit of hype around them, right? They are off to a 2-0 start, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 2-0.
Yeah, they are off to a 2-0 start.
Just surprising. Got to be one of the more surprising 2-0 starts, right?
Yes, definitely. But they played beatable opponents, and they looked pretty bad, I'd say, week 1 against Arizona, when they really should have dominated that game in my mind. So certainly eking by to a 2-0 record. They have the guys, don't get me wrong. They're good enough to be 2-0, but certainly not top of the NFC in my mind.
Yeah, so are you at all concerned about this game for the Bills? I mean, look, there's 2 really good running backs on this team. We know what Terry McLaurin can do. Curtis Samuel's no slump, right? And then I know Logan Thomas, former Bill, can play. He can play tight end, right? He's can be a threat on the offense, really. But the big question is around Sam Howell, right?
I think Logan Thomas is dealing with concussion issues, so he might be out for this game. We don't know. I haven't heard an update, but I know he had concussion protocol at one point, so he may not even play in the game. But if he does, he's definitely a good veteran weapon, probably the most reliable, meaning, experienced guy on the team, right? Terry McLaurin is one of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL in my mind, but he's also got the turf toe issue, right? That he had preseason. First 2 games, he hasn't made a lot of noise on the field. I think that might be part of what is contributing to what's going on with him. We know he's got this nagging injury, to say the least. He's good enough to be on the field. It's not benching him, he's not out, but definitely not the living up to his full potential right now. So that limits them somewhat. Jahan Dotson is somebody I love too. I mean, I think when you have the two of them going full force, McLaurin's going to demand the attention. That's going to open things up for Dotson. And they have a good run game, as you mentioned, with Gibson kind of taking the backup role to Brian Robinson now. But both guys really can carry the ball. I don't think either one is like a huge, amazing threat by any means, but certainly a formidable run game. But when you talk about the offense, for me, it starts and ends with Sam Howell, right? The rookie quarterback, basically rookie. It's not his rookie season, but it's his fourth start in the NFL, I think, right? Did he start a game last year, or maybe he played a game last year? Anyway, a handful of starts for a guy playing this veteran Bills defense is never a good matchup for that quarterback, right? So I think that is going to be key on our defense, their offense, right? We have to control the pace with our defense because they should not be able to gouge us for big plays. You can control it a lot like they did versus the Raiders. Very similar, right? They have a dominant run game. They have a dominant wide receiver and, some other guys who are capable, but they had a veteran quarterback who is limited, right? Now we have a young quarterback who is not experienced enough to know how to deal with a defense like this.
Right.
So on that end, I like the matchup. Where this could get dicey, obviously, is the strength of the Commanders, which is that defensive line. I mean, that defensive front, when you look at the names, is got to be the best in football, right? It's just they're good at getting pressure. What did they have, like 7 sacks last week or something? It was crazy, and everybody gets involved, right? So I mean, you can go down the names. Chase Young, first round pick, right? Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are
Payne, right.
Yeah, Payne. Yeah, so there's a bunch that you're talking. I mean, even their depth is really, really good on that line. I'm telling you, that's the part that could be a problem, right? I want to see Spencer Brown play consistent. Just be consistent. I said this last week on Twitter during the game. Like, okay, great. We've seen bad Spencer Brown. Now we get good Spencer Brown, whatever you want to call it, great Spencer Brown in game 2. I just want him to maintain that. Just be good. Just be good enough, right? And as long as, bottom line, we're not going to stop that Commanders D-line. It's not like they're going to have no sacks. They're not going to get any pressures. No, of course they're going to be in Josh Allen's face a lot during this game because that is what they do best. And, so it's not, I'm not saying the offensive line has to be perfect. That's not going to happen, right? They're going to get to Allen.
Yeah,
Allen has to know how to deal with it. Take the sack. Take the sack. Don't try to be crazy. Yeah. Don't throw the ball up. Just be reasonable and take the sack, right? And I think that's going to be the key on our offense. Our offense is good enough to run over this team if they do it right, right? So they have to control the pace of the game by making smart decisions, right? Run the ball.
I mean, you're going to get pressure from the D-line, as you mentioned. Through 2 weeks, the Commanders are number 1 in QB hits. They're number 2 in tackles for loss. I mean, these are all. I mean, again, you mentioned the opponents. They're not really. I don't want to say formidable, but like, been kind of an easier road than other teams. But still, 20 quarterback hits is no slouch. This leads the league through 2 weeks, right? So that's important. Everything else kind of middle of the road for Washington. Their offense has allowed 10 sacks as well. That's probably the worst stat that I've seen. Everything else, they're 19th in total offense, 17th in passing, middle of the road in rushing as well. So sounds like the offense has really not got it together, but the defense is playing pretty well. That keeps them in games, and then probably ultimately is why they're getting the win. So certainly something to pay attention to. For the Bills, though, another surprising stat I saw for the Bills is they've only blitzed 11% of the time.
Yeah,
third least in the league through 2 weeks.
Yeah, that could be somewhat to do with the opponents you're facing, right? Granted, they were ready for Aaron Rodgers and they got Zach Wilson. I think they kind of backed off on the pressures because they're like, you know what? It's Zach Wilson. Let's let him throw. Just rush 3 and let him throw and see what happens, right? You don't even need to get to him to cause trouble. And and limit the
I mean,
pass.
could
Which
that
wasn't
be
the
a
problem in that game.
similar? Could that be a similar strategy here with Sam Howell?
No, absolutely not. I think it's the opposite, right? This is a young quarterback who you want to get in his face. You want to fluster him. So I think they are going to bring pressure in this game. I think they're they mix it up. It's not like all of a sudden it's going to be, oh, look, they blitzed on 70% of the plays or something, right? No, it's going to be a mix, but I expect it to be above what the average was that you're talking about, 11% low in the league. No, they're going to bring it in different ways against this quarterback because he's young. And again, inexperienced versus the defense. That's the way you fluster him. You want him to try and force the ball out. You want him to try and roll out and get smacked by one of these guys and fumble, right? You're looking for him to make mistakes, and he's going to be prone to that when guys are coming at him and in his face. So I think it's going to be more of bringing the house and seeing what happens. Can he get the ball out to a reliable target? It's not like they have somebody who's Devontae Adams or, even Garrett Wilson on this team. Terry McLaurin we've talked about, but limited now. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sam Howell deals with that Bills pressure when they bring it. So I do expect the blitz to be up more in this game and fluster him, get him uncomfortable back there, at least off his rhythm, right? It doesn't have to be turnovers every time. It doesn't have to be sacks. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for forcing incompletions, getting a 3 and out, let's make them punt, right? Or in the red zone, stop them and make them kick a field goal. So
Right.
Those are the types of things that pressure is going to lead to.
Yeah, you think it'd probably disrupt, Sam Howell as well. I mean, he's been pretty good through 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He's same QBR as Josh Allen, right? He has 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Both QBRs, the rate is 95 for Sam Howell, 94.5 for Josh Allen. So, I mean, look, small sample size, totally understand that, but through 2 games, Sam Howell's not playing bad.
Now, again, Arizona in week 1, they should have blown that team out of the water. They're not trying to win games, and they almost won that game. Week 2 was against Denver. That was an ugly game, back and forth, lots of points scored. And Denver looks a lot worse than many people thought they might be this year. I thought they would even take a step forward with Peyton now. And it seems like the same old team that we saw last year where they can't quite pinpoint what's going on. And Russell Wilson isn't quite that all-world QB that he was in Seattle at times. So Sam, yes, he's had 2 good games. He's earned that. And now it's time for him to prove it. Now, if the Commanders are coming into this game saying we have to show the NFL who we are, right? That's if I'm the coach in that locker room saying this is the week now, we're 2-0 and they still don't respect us. We beat Buffalo on our turf. We show them who we are, right? We are going to make a statement if we win this game. People will start paying attention to you if you win this game. Let's show them who we are.
Yeah, fair. I mean, 3-1 is a lot different than 1-2. Or I'm sorry, 2-1 is a lot different than 1-2, right, for the Bills. But yeah, another thing is for the Commanders. I think if you play field position, that's the strategy to beat the Commanders, right? They're only 7 for 22 on third downs, 31%, 28th in the league.
Yeah.
And then once they get to the red zone, though, they're 62% in the red zone, 5 for 8 attempts. So, I mean, play field position, wear down the defense, make them tired. That gives you the best chance to win, I think. What else you got for the Commanders? Anything?
I think that stadium, the fact that you brought up that Josh Allen has never played in that stadium, that's interesting or whatever. I think what's more interesting is the weather that's coming through. I heard there was
Okay, I did hear that.
What is it?
A little hurricane action.
Yeah, tropical. What are they calling it? A tropical something storm. Anyway, big storm coming to the area, right when it's supposed to hit during the game time. And immediately I think, like, what if the Bills been struck by lightning when it comes to weather, pun intended there, right? Like, it seems like we get the bad luck. We expect the snow in Buffalo, right? Okay, that's going to happen once every 10 years or whatever it was last year, missing that game. Now it's, okay, we go there and all of a sudden now we got to deal with a hurricane and now we're playing in Miami by that game. It just seems like every year the Bills, something happens weather-wise to affect a game. That win game against New England that they lost, right? That was so brutal because you knew we were 10 times better than that roster, but the weather totally limited anything you could do. I hope that's not the case in this game because that would probably play into Washington's strategy. I mean, you basically take away the pass. That's pretty good for Washington. And not that the Bills can't run the ball. I'm still confident the Bills can do well in that situation. But for once, I'd like to see Pat Mahomes have 3 games a year that are completely affected by the weather. And, he can't suddenly, just throw the ball all over the place or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he'd probably still do okay. But,
yeah, I know. I'm not saying it would completely limit him, but come on
now. Right here, storm is expected to move over Hampton Roads in eastern Carolina, bringing gusts up to 45 miles an hour and 4 inches of rain beginning Friday. So you got to think going to go up to Washington probably Saturday. So you might be in the clear there, depending on how big the storm is, how fast it's moving, things like that. You would think it'd clear the area by then if it's hitting.
Hopefully,
I don't know. I haven't seen the latest
weather report, but they did say that it was supposed to hit during the game. So at one point, but hopefully with storms like that, you never know how long they're going to linger, if they're going to get worse, better, depending on the pressure and all that. So yeah, hopefully it blows over though. But even the threat of it is like making me nervous because it's obviously something that would benefit the Commanders in terms of it's another factor that would limit the Bills' offense.
Sure. Now, the Commanders here off to a hot start. If they continue to do well, let's say they win the division, let's say they not even win the division, but make the playoffs, they do have a new owner. Does Ron Rivera survive to the next year? Does Sam Howell survive to next year? Because we know most of the time owners come in, they want new coach, new quarterback. Saw it in Carolina.
Yeah.
Recently. We saw new coach so far in Denver. And through 2 weeks, it's looking like maybe new quarterback soon, right? So, I mean, here we are with the Commanders, though. But
to do that, they paid the man $50 million guaranteed a year for 5 years. So
I think they have an out next year or something like that.
Do they? Maybe I don't know. This. But, we will.
But yeah, do you think they survive? I mean, it's a big draft next year. A lot of quarterbacks. I think the Commanders they'll have a shot at a quarterback next year.
So by survive, I think Sam Howell will be on this team next year. I don't think that he will all of a sudden have trade value or something that the Commanders are just going to give him away, right? So he's still got 2 years of control at least. I think 2 years because it's his second year, right? So he's still going to be under contract for 2 years. You're not going to give away a quarterback. You're not paying him a lot of money, so he's going to be on the roster no matter what. I think next year. Do they draft a quarterback? I think that it depends on where they end up in the draft order, right? If you're at the bottom of the draft, maybe you just barely missed the playoffs or whatever based on that NFC. If the NFC is wild, right? Anything can happen there. But so say they just missed the playoffs, they end up, picking in the 20s. They're not going to get one of these top quarterbacks, period, right? They're going to go 1, 2, 3, basically, right? They're going to go in the top 5. So unless they're willing to, if that happens, right? If they miss the playoffs, I think they fire Ron Rivera, right? New guy, new owner's going to want to bring in his own guy. So even if they make the playoffs, they might fire him, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs anyway. So Ron Rivera's maintained this organization, I guess, and he will probably not be the coach next year is my expectation. New coach is going to want to get a quarterback, but might not be able to next year, right? But it's good that he has Sam Howell on this roster because you can start the rebuild under Sam Howell, maybe not win as many games next year as this year, and start to see where the direction goes toward taking a quarterback in the following draft, right? Because again, those guys that are available are going in the tippy top of this next draft. At least that's how it looks now, right? Everything changes in the college football season, but those quarterbacks are going to be in demand, and you're talking about a lot of quarterback needy teams up at the top this year. So I don't think. And of those needy teams, if you want to throw Washington in there, they're going to be one of the last to pick. So, and have, minimal capital to give away. It's not like if I'm the head coach who's hired after Ron Rivera, in my head, I'm thinking I need this draft to build on my foundation, whatever that is, my defense, my offense. I'm going to bring in my 6 draft picks and, see what I can do with this group. Then focus on next year, trading, doing what I have to do to move up or draft at the top to get my quarterback or my star player up at that point. So, I think it's not a total rebuild for them at this point.
Right.
But
and let's not put the Commanders in the playoffs right away. I mean, they have a pretty brutal couple weeks coming up. They got Buffalo this week. They got the Eagles the week after that. It's their first divisional game.
Yeah.
And then Bears, Falcons. And then they get into the divisional games with the Giants and the Eagles back to back. So, that's a tough division, and it's going to be hard for them to even beat those teams to get to the top, right?
Yeah.
So, it's even if they have a mediocre season, I think probably new quarterback, I think. Look, Sam Howell, decent, looks the part, right? But a lot more football to be played. Won't jump to conclusions. But when there's a talented draft class like there is coming in next year, I think you have to take your shot because you just don't know what the coming years are going to hold, right? I feel like since 2018, there really hasn't been that super quarterback draft class, and even the 2018 draft didn't really turn out the way everyone thought.
Yeah,
I mean, we
that's
got
right.
Two stars in the first round. It's pretty good. And Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. And you can even say Baker Mayfield.
You can't.
I already know.
You can't. Get
guys
the hell
winning
out of here.
games.
Why you got to bring him up?
Guys win the games.
Yeah, he's winning games now. We know what he is. He's a joke. That's what he does. He wins 2 games.
5 years,
like, oh, Baker
5
Mayfield.
years later,
is he
still starting?
Yeah, he's still getting paid. Good for him, but he sucks, man. I don't care what way you throw it. He's going to start losing games and be the reason they lose games. Anyway, that's a different topic, but that's a push button for me. But I think, which quarterback are you going to take if there's 5 teams ahead of you who are drooling for a quarterback? You're not going to get, who are you going to get? The 6th best quarterback and hope that he ends up being the Lamar Jackson versus having the Sam Howell? Yeah, I mean, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably like 7 or 8 guys right now. I mean, like you said, the college football season, a lot of games.
We don't know who's leaving.
Lots going to change, but just the Commanders are in that transition spot, like we've talked about for a number of years, right? When they were the football team, they were transitioning, and it just seems like that is now lingering on and on.
Yes, likely to get a new name at some point too, whenever that is, by next year probably, or some point next year, whatever it is. Likely to rename it because new owner's going to want to call the team what he wants, not what the last guy decided on.
Exactly. All right, let's move on here. Let's get off the Commanders. Back to the Bills. James Cook, top 5 in rushing through 2 weeks. Is it sustainable? Can they continue to feed him the ball? Can he continue to be a top 5? I mean, I think he's 5 right now behind Nick Chubb, so looks like he's going to make that
jump. Yeah, so I was very high on James Cook coming into the season. I texted you and Sterling the whole time, like, man, this run game, the most improved thing I've seen is the offensive line in the run game, right? And James Cook, we knew he would get stronger going into year 2. He's better, obviously. Young kid going into year 2. That's great. But it's the offensive line, the blocking schemes. It looks a lot better for the run game, period, no matter who's running the ball. But the fact that James Cook is also an electric player who can be a star and can make those plays on the field, that adds to it. So those 2 combinations, and they've given him the ball, even though we have 3 guys who are legitimate carriers of the football at this point, in Damian Harris and Latavius Murray, Cook has gotten the overwhelming majority of the play, right? The touches, especially in the big situations, goal line maybe, or short yardage, one of the other guys, but Cook has been the guy for the most part. And I think that will continue because he's playing well in that role, right? Why change it up if that's working? Now, should he need a rest or whatever? Great. We got 2 other guys who can step in and be powerhouses too. But there's no doubt in my mind that of those 3, James Cook is the best. And during drafts, people always ask me in the preseason or before the season, I'm getting ready for the draft. Who do you like? Or should I draft any Bills? This year I said, get James Cook. Get James Cook. I'm telling you, he's going to explode this season. And where he was going in drafts was ridiculous. And I got him in a number of leagues where I could and was happy about it because I know that he's going to be able to maintain this all season long.
Yeah, this is funny too. He's currently 5th in yardage in the whole league, behind Nick Chubb at 169 yards. He's 100 yards behind Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, you're not getting that high on the list. Christian McCaffrey is going to have 300 on Thursday Night Football too, probably.
Right.
So.
And a little surprising, but maybe not too surprising. Bijan Robinson, number 2.
Yeah, right.
In rushing
He's been
yards,
amazing.
Yeah. So that's just funny. He's
Living
so
up
far
to the
behind.
bill. Funny that you mentioned his name, because the other comment I got is, why is this rookie being drafted in the top 5? I'm like, because he's that good. He's that good. It's fantasy football.
Yeah.
The draft matters, right? Our running backs are the
good.
most key position.
Yeah.
Pick him.
Confirmed.
And people were afraid.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want to take a rookie. We don't know what he's going to be.
Yeah.
No, he's legit, and he's
legit. It's confirmed. I mean, it highlights every week, right? And that's what you want to see. It's just a lot of fun to watch him.
Oh my God, is he making guys look silly out there? It's fun. It's fun to watch a guy like that. It is
very fun. But the Bills overall as a team, 5th in the NFL in rushing yards per attempt. A little new territory for the Bills, right? Maybe got a little thing going with this run game, right? Maybe more balance this year, like they've been talking about. Again, very small sample size, but off to a good start with balance, I think. Definitely something worth mentioning. Last couple topics here. Josh Allen looking comfortable. Looked so comfortable last week. Does that carry over? Do we see mature Josh for a while? It's like he gets in these phases where he just plays like a pro, carries himself the right way on the field, and then the Bills win.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
They get these win streaks. So
I think that week 1 was obviously a punch in the mouth to him, right? He said he didn't watch any of the media, which was great, because neither did I, because I could not even stand it. I would explode at some of the things they were saying after week 1. But he took it to heart. You know, he was like, this one was my fault, and I did this, and I need to be better. And we know we've heard that all off season. He's the most focused on football he's ever been. Well, now you need to prove it, right? And obviously he came out week 2, and that's what he did. He looked smarter, steadier. And the hope is that he will maintain that, right? And I expect that he will maintain that until, I don't want to look ahead, but Miami's next week, and that's going to be a tough matchup no matter what. It has been the last few times when Tua is healthy and that team is full go. They match up well, right? Against Buffalo. So that's going to be a different style of energy for sure as coming into this game. Coming into this game, you want to be zen. You want to be that same quarterback you were last week. Make the completions. Don't do too much. He won Player of the Week last week, right? I mean, I'm not setting that expectation. That would be great, if he gets that again or does that week in and week out. But just having the mindset of being okay, like I said at the beginning, take the sack, right? Run out of bounds. Don't try to do too much. Play smart. And he did that. And you could tell in his post-game press conference, and every time he's talked to the media since, when they've asked him, compare week 1 to week 2, or what happened in this week that was different than last week. And he just said, like, preparation. I came prepared. It worked out well for us. Maintain that thought process and that mentality. And I think obviously the rest of the team will move that way on the back of Josh Allen and Coach McDermott, who sets the tone, right? So good for them getting on the right track again. Let's stay the course going forward here.
Yeah, he's off to a pretty good start overall. I mean, obviously the Jets defense, on 9/11, the home opener, a lot of hype for them in the offseason. I mean, still probably should have won. Josh is the reason they lost, right? But you like to see that bounce back. And look, Josh, he has his sugar high games. It's never going to change, right? But it's what it's all about in the NFL, it seems like, is bouncing back, right? And I think Josh is one of the best at that. I think you had a stat as like the Bills average 10 10-point win after a big loss or something like that. I mean, what was
average win after a loss under Sean McDermott is 10.5 points by 10.5 points. So they win. And this was obviously they won by 28. So that number just went up again, right? So they win big after a loss. They bounce back well with Josh Allen and with Sean McDermott. Yeah, they know. Yeah, so we just want to limit those losses. I'd rather not have more losses and bounce back wins, right? Let's just keep it at a high, keep playing at that level.
Right.
Again, offensive player of the week is a high bar to set, but that's the Josh Allen we know. We know he can be that.
Yeah, make our Sundays easy because I think last Sunday was one of the easiest games I've ever been a part of as a fan.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, felt like mowing the lawn after the game. Like,
Where were
okay, I
your
got
seats?
more tasks.
Where were your seats? You were in the stadium, so.
Yep, section 130, row 15. It
Okay,
was hot
so
though. It was a hot day, so it was
what
like
yard line
we're
is that?
sweating.
130 is 128 is end zone.
It's like on the 5-yard
So
line.
okay, yeah,
the end
that's
zone.
what I thought. 128 is
Yep.
end zone, yeah. So
Yep, it's
130
pretty
is
good.
all
Yeah,
right.
like I said, showing my buddy a good time. Has never been to Buffalo, so
Yeah.
wanted to
Was
go to
the
a game.
touchdown were any of the touchdowns right near you?
Yeah, the Khalil Shakir touchdown right in front of us.
The first one, yeah, nice.
I mean, Dawson Knox was in our end zone, that touchdown, but it was on the other side of the field. But yeah, pretty great day overall. I mean, most of the action was on our side of the field. Sometimes you gamble with the end zone seats and all the action's on the other side of the field, but the way the quarters worked,
yeah,
you know, the Raiders and the Bills were always playing on the one side of the field, so we lucked out. It was perfect.
Lots of action.
Perfect day. Yep, can't complain. Okay, last topic here. Just want to talk about where you've been watching the game. We have 2 weeks going into week 3. It's time, you know, we went to a game. I like watching a game at home with the family. Now it's time to go out to the bar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we did this a lot out west, just kind of going around seeing the Bills backers bars or the cool spots in town to watch the game.
For sure.
So I thought of a couple, and you know, we do upstate New York stuff. So we got Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse. I got one for each. So starting with a good place to watch a game, Southern Tier Brewing Company in Buffalo. Look at this place.
Ooh, big TV.
Look at all the screens in there.
All those screens, wall to wall.
Check that out. Never been there, but that looks like a cool place.
Me neither, but that
does
look like a good spot to watch the game.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out. Southern Tier, great beer and everything. I mean, this environment just looks awesome. Looks like there's 2 levels, big TV in the middle, TVs all around. I mean, that place looks awesome.
Clean, nice bar. You know, can't go wrong.
Next one, I have been to the Tin Cup Social in Fairport, Rochester area, but yeah, really great spot. You know, if you're watching the video, you can see like the table. It looks kind of small, but behind the camera, there's a huge wall. It's got the big screens, the bar and everything. But this place is electric. We watched the playoff game there, and you couldn't even get in. Right, they were kicking people out. There's so many people in there. So yeah, a lot of fun at this place. Really clean, you know, really cool place. And then I couldn't find any good ones in Syracuse. You have to help me with this.
I will, absolutely.
I did see
Rockies is definitely the one I've heard the hype around for being the gathering spot for Syracuse. Now you got to remember that Syracuse is close to Buffalo, but Syracuse is not quite to the level of Rochester and Buffalo when it comes to Bills fans. My family alone, there's Cowboys fans, there's Washington fans, there's Giants fans, all sorts of stuff.
Oh, yeah, you guys are like
Miami fans. I mean, we got everything, right? So Syracuse has always been a mixed bag. But when it comes to going to the game, I've heard a lot about Rockies and said that and heard the environment is good there. It's not going to be like, you know, Colorado Bills backers where it's a 2-decker place that's packed to the brim. But I'm looking forward to getting out there at some point this season to watch a game. And you know, it's on the east side of the city. So
I was going to ask where it was.
It's in Liverpool, so it's on the west side of the city, actually. Well, west of the city, not west side of the city. But so you know, it should be. I'm looking forward to seeing how it is. But I've heard good things, and want to. I miss that community aspect of watching the Bills games because, you know, you said wherever you watch the games. Well, I've been watching them in the man cave. I've had company over, which is nice.
Okay.
You know,
nice
comfortable.
Company.
Yeah, you know, and it's that's good too. And this is only my second season back in Syracuse, so I ventured out a little bit last year to a couple places, but I have not been to Rockies yet. And the ones I did go to were not worth writing home about, so I wouldn't return to. So I need to get out to Rockies.
Well, I mean, we have to know, the audience has to know how good's your man cave, because if you're going out to bars and saying they suck, but your man cave's awesome.
I mean, yeah, I might have to tweet out some pictures once I get it fully renovated. I'm doing a little bit of painting right now, just basic cleaning up. It is the basement, don't get me wrong, but I've turned it into a glamorous basement man cave. Yeah, it's not the prettiest, most amazing thing, but it is.
Yeah.
And the memorabilia and the Bills stuff alone is enough to make you get excited if you're a Bills fan.
I was going to say, what qualifies it as a man cave? Is it just because a man hangs out there?
Absolutely not. It's MySpace for sure. I mean, my wife would tell you she doesn't even like. She'll come down and watch a movie on the TV, but it's MySpace because it's all Bills, Yankees, and some Marvel stuff too, and mainly it's all Bills, right? So every Bills item I've had since I was born, which is a long time, I have saved. And when I bought this house and moved to Syracuse, my mom gave me my bins of saved stuff that have been sitting at her house for years, and sure enough, I saved all my Bills stuff was there, and now it's all on display in the man cave, and the stuff that I picked up over the years. So my newest piece is a framed Josh Allen jersey, signed jersey. I've had the full size Stephon Diggs helmet. I've got a ton of sports memorabilia. I have one autographed helmet from every team. But the Bills stuff alone is enough to excite any Bills
One
fan.
autographed helmet from every team. Now you bought these things?
Mostly auction style, right? So some of them are, you
didn't
put
go
in
to
a $15 bid, and you pick a division or something, and there's a handful that I actually purchased for a good price, but the value can range from $40 all the way up to the Josh Allen signed mini helmet that I have is probably $400, $500, right? So there's some good value there, but mostly I wanted to get one from every team to display.
How many of the collection are actual signatures? Any of them at all?
What do you mean? Every single one.
I mean, but you got
that I got.
Right,
No. So, I do have a couple from like training camp days. So I have like Fred Jackson.
That's a good one.
Who else do I have? A few from that era. So yeah, I mean, just a couple that I've personally gotten myself. I was gifted, somebody had actually got signed a Thurman Thomas mini helmet that I have in my collection. So not personally signed from me, like I got to meet the player, but and then there's this Stevie Johnson had an event in Colorado, got to hang out with him, which was awesome. Still talk to his entourage guys, and look forward to meeting up with them again someday. And John Fina, those guys that have been around, I've personally gotten signatures from, but Daryl Talley, I've met him, so I've had some good things happen, throughout my life of being a Bills fan that I've collected, and it's all on display. And whenever a Bills fan comes over, they are ecstatic to go through, and I show it all off. And plus I have the cards as well from when I was young, all the rookie cards of these players and everything. Yeah, so it's you could come over every week and I could show you something new. Let's say that, right? So, and I'm proud of it for sure.
When's the Bills watch party at your house?
That's right. We need to do that, right?
Do a little tour.
That's
right. It'd be fun.
Got to come out to Syracuse.
Highway 90 is tough, man. It's a long drive. But yeah, that's all we got for our first show back talking Bills. Appreciate everyone kicking it with us. I like talking Bills. I feel a lot better now, right? Got it off my chest, put it out there. So
go Bills, baby. Score prediction. Yeah. We haven't done that in a long time.
Got to turn into the preview show for that.
We're gonna. Oh, that's right. Yep. We're gonna. Okay.
Yep. So if you subscribe to the Hoof Podcast, you will get the preview show along with the Bills show. The preview shows just all going through the picks, right? Talking best bets, betting against the spread, and we'll give you predictions there. We're actually going to pick against the spread, so we could do a score prediction for this show if you'd like. Commanders, Bills, what you got?
I'm going to go 31-16.
Okay, high scoring. I think the Commanders' defense is too good for that. I think their pass rush is too good for that. They are good. I'm going to go 21-10 Bills. If that feels right. Just 3 touchdowns on the day. Tough, long drives, right, for the Bills. But I think they do it, and the Commanders struggle.
All right. I think the defense is going to make a difference there. The 10 points extra is from the defensive plays.
Okay.
Putting them in scoring position,
Okay, we'll maybe a special teams touchdown, huh?
Ooh, that would be nice. That would be nice.
All right, thanks for kicking it up with us, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday. See you then.
Go Bills.